All right, let's just be real for a second. We're going to skip the usual pleasantries today and just dive right into this explainer because we need to talk about something urgent and we need to do it with absolute focus. So ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that actually terrified you? Think about that for a second. I don't mean, getting a little nervous before a big meeting. I mean something so massive, so incredibly bold that just thinking about the sheer scale of it made your heart race. Like, what is your actual appetite for massive, bold risks right now? Because for most of us, if we're being truly honest, we've kind of lost it. And here's the brutal truth as to why. We've literally been lied to. Society, corporate culture, the very systems we work in every single day, they've conditioned us to believe that the ultimate goal in life and in business is just safe, incremental growth. We're taught to crave that tiny 5% improvement, right? The minor tweaks to a process, the safe promotion. We equate success with these safe, little, manageable steps. But by doing that, we've basically traded transformative breakthroughs for the really shallow satisfaction of minor tweaks. And it's effectively trapping our futures in this relentless cycle of mediocrity. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the safe path illusion. So, why do we love incremental growth so much? Well, because it's comfortable. It gives us the illusion of progress without the terrifying risk of failing. If you improve your system by 1% today, you feel pretty good about yourself. You get to check a box. But here is the massive trap. Incrementalism is exactly how giants get replaced. Fun fact, and this is a classic example, Blockbuster executives felt perfectly comfortable optimizing their late fee revenue right up until Netflix literally bankrupted them. While you're out there hyper-focused on making your current legacy system 1% faster, someone else is completely reinventing the ecosystem. It's how legacy structures get left in the dust. Aiming for minor tweaks isn't building the future. Delaying the past is not building the future. And to put this into perspective, let's look at how we actually build and engineer things today. Imagine this scenario. You've got a 5% tweak. There's this massive, bloated corporate engineering team spending 6 whole months, hundreds of hours, and dumping thousands of dollars into meetings just to optimize some legacy Jira workflow by a mere 5%. And then they pop champagne and celebrate it as a massive win on a slide deck. Now, on the flip side, look at the 10x paradigm. While that huge team was stuck in meetings, a single, visionary engineer steps back, throws out the old playbook completely, and spends one single weekend building an autonomous agentic AI workflow. They essentially spin up an AI system that makes its own decisions to automate the entire pipeline end to end. That first team, they achieved incremental optimization. They protected the past. But that single engineer, they achieved radical transformation and created the future. So which side of that equation do you want to be on? Which brings us to Section 2, optimization versus transformation. Now, when we talk about burning the roadmap, I want to be super clear here. It's not about just being reckless or acting without a plan. It's really about having the courage to ask this one crucial visionary question. If we started from scratch today with zero limitations, what is the absolute best thing we could build? You see, a traditional roadmap looks backwards. It looks at what you did last year and asks how to do just a little bit more of it. Burning the roadmap means you absolutely refuse to let your past trajectory dictate your future velocity. You're starting with a totally blank slate and the full power of modern technology. Now, what's really interesting here is how you have to shift your mental framework entirely to break that cycle of mediocrity. Look at the difference. Optimization asks a very specific, honestly pretty limiting question. How do I do this existing task faster? And the goal there? Maybe 10% growth. But transformation asks something totally different and way more powerful. Why are we even doing this task at all? And what is the 10x version of it? The goal isn't just tweaking, it's exponential, 10x growth. When you set a goal of 10% growth, you're putting yourself in direct competition with literally everyone else who's also playing it safe. But when you aim for 10x, it forces entirely new thinking. 10x. Just aiming for that number fundamentally changes your perspective. It literally breaks the boundaries of what you thought was possible. When you commit to a 10x leap, you can't rely on those safe, traditional methods anymore. It forces you to stop looking at the ground, stop obsessing over those tiny little obstacles right in front of your feet, and start looking at the stars. Moving on to Section 3, empowering the vision. So, let's get into the strategy and see how you can actually implement this. Here's how you allocate the space for that radical experimentation. Step 1, you have to actually burn that traditional roadmap. Seriously, stop relying on last year's plans. Step 2, you must embrace the friction and the messiness. Look, true breakthroughs are just inherently messy. If your new idea doesn't make you or your stakeholders at least a little bit nervous, honestly, it's probably not big enough. You need to carve out spaces where you're allowed to break things so you can learn how to build them stronger. And that leads to step 3, redefining failure. This is a massive point. We have to completely reframe how we look at failure. In a culture of mediocrity, failure is penalized, it's hidden, and people are terrified of it. But in a culture of excellence, failure is just data. That's it. It's nothing more than a boundary marker telling you exactly where the limit is. If you aren't failing occasionally, it just means you're operating way too safely within your known limits. You're trapped in a comfort zone. And comfort zones are exactly where big ideas go to die. We have to use failure as a tool, not run away from it. All right, finally, section 4, building the future now. I mean, just look around us. We are living through an unprecedented technological shift right now. Advanced automation, agentic workflows, cloud architectures. These aren't just fancy corporate buzzwords, they represent profound leverage. The tools we have access to right now mean the barrier to entry for greatness has literally never been lower. A single visionary mind, or even a super small aligned team, can now pull off things that would have required a massive, bloated enterprise just a few years ago. The leverage is right there waiting for us. So why on earth are we still settling for minor tweaks? The only thing actually holding us back is our own willingness to dream bigger. Stop waiting for permission to be bold. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. The roadmap of small gains ends today. Honestly, just let that sink in for a second. It takes immense courage to walk away from the safe path. It takes real guts to look at a comfortable, predictable, mediocre future and just say, no, I want more. But I promise you, having that courage is the exact price of admission if you want to reclaim your true potential. So as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with one final, highly provocative challenge. What is one safe path you are going to burn today? Take a hard look at your life, your projects, your goals. Where are you optimizing for the past instead of building the future? It is time to shatter that comfort zone trap once and for all. Stop playing small, stop optimizing for the past, and go start building the future today.